welcome to the movement. Thank you for joining the movement today. I am Laurie Ann. I am your host and the founder and creator of the Movement Podcast. And today I have a very wonderful special guest with me. Before I introduce her and let her explain in her own words a little bit about herself, I'm going to tell you that we have Katie Fenske with us today, and she is host of a podcast that I enjoy listening to very much called Burnt Pancakes. And Burnt Pancakes is a space for what Katie calls momversations about motherhood and the imperfect moments that come along with raising kids. I have to, before I go on, just tell you all that I am a little bit of a word nerd, and you really have me at momversations. So I think that that's wonderful. And I actually looked it up I thought it might be a pun or what kind of word it was. And I learned, so don't say you don't learn things that have nothing to do with boys on the movement, that word is considered a portmanteau. And a portmanteau is basically taking two words and bringing them together. And for example, breakfast and lunch, making brunch, and mom and conversations make momversations. So we are glad to have Katie here for Momversations today. So Katie is a MOOB herself. She's a mother of only boys. And Katie, welcome to the movement. And why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and your family and your podcast.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. It's always nice to talk to other moms of only boys. Yes, I have 3 boys. So Ronan is almost 12. My middle Jet is 8 and my youngest Maverick is 6. They are all officially in school now. So I'm entering this new middle mom phase, almost preteen, teenage mom phase. But yeah, I have all boys and I have a podcast called Momversation or Burnt Pancakes Momversations. And I was kind of inspired. It's nothing to do with cooking. I was inspired to start a podcast because I felt like there wasn't enough voice to the reality of motherhood. It was when I became a mom, I was kind of shocked to the core at how different my life was going to be, and the feeling of trying to get it all right the first time just crippled me. So my podcast is just kind of based on how we're raising our kids. We don't need to be perfect. I officially learned the phrase, everyone burns their first pancake, when I was at my friend's house with my oldest. He was 2. We were potty training him, and it was a disaster. He had an accident in her backyard, and I was literally losing my mind, almost in tears. My friend just turned to me and said, "Don't worry, Katie, everyone burns their first pancake." And I was like, relief. I felt so much relief knowing oh my God, I don't have to get it right the first time. I mean, trust me, I'm still not getting it right with the third, but at least I knew there was another mom who got it. So when I decided to start the podcast, I wanted other moms to feel lighter, a sense of humor in life, and not feel like they're doing motherhood alone.
Well, I think you are definitely accomplishing that. And your podcast is wonderful. For everybody out there who has not already listened, you should tune into Burnt Pancakes with Katie. And you said a few things here which resonates with me. I'm a little bit ahead of you in that my boys are now 36, 34, and 31. Each stage
gives me hope. Gives me hope I'm going to make it.
It does. They're wonderful young men. They're married. They've given me grandchildren. It's all good. But you know what? I look back, and even the crazy, and I'm sure you can look back as well, and even the crazy stages, when you want to maybe pull your hair out of your head at times, you miss those too. And you have to really just enjoy every moment, because every stage is different. Every moment is different. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because you talk about perfection and trying to be that perfect mom. First of all, your friend probably had absolutely no idea that she inspired you by saying that one phrase to create a successful podcast and really take it to all kinds of crazy levels. So, and a similar situation with me when I started calling myself a MOOB, a mother of only boys, and I'm hoping it becomes a household name like Burnt Pancakes at some point.
Yes.
But I know that, we sometimes as mothers try to achieve this feeling of perfection in our minds. And I don't know where we get that standard from. And it helps us, it's a hard thing to achieve. But I think, and you tell me if you agree, that we kind of see the way we raise our kids as a reflection of ourselves. And it's really tough because, for example, I was in a supermarket and I saw, a child having a complete meltdown, and the mother was just like, she just felt awful. And I looked at her and I said, there's nothing you can do. Like, he's two, and that's what happens. It's not about you. It's fine. So it is nice to have community and be able to share that with other moms.
Right. Okay. I love that you said that to her, because there have been so many days at the grocery store that I have a really hard time not letting my kids' behavior be a reflection of me as a mom. So when you said that, I was like, totally. Every time they do something, I'm like, oh my God, people are going to look at me and think, why is that mom
All
doing
the time.
that?
Yep.
I once was at the grocery store and my boys, after me telling them, do not go play in the ice thing, like the ice bag thing.
Right.
They opened it. One of them sat in there and someone had to like shoo them out as I'm trying to check out and grab the other one. And a lady, another cashier goes, oh, I had all girls and my girls would have never done that. And I literally looked at her, grabbed my boys, and just like ran out of the grocery store, because I'm like, but I told them not to do it. Like, don't think I'm a bad mom because my boys are just exploring and I told them not to. But that is very hard. Very hard for me still to this day.
It happens a lot. I fly back and forth a lot between New York and Florida, and I see it happen on the plane all the time. And you see these kids acting out on the plane and people getting irate and giving them dirty looks, and the parents are they want to go under the seat.
Yeah,
and
same thing. And there's nowhere to hide.
I know. And it's like the same thing. Like, you just want to say, like, don't sweat it. It'll be fine. Like, just take it easy. Kids are kids, and you do the best you can. And, but we always, we feel responsibility, which is kind of tough. Somewhere along the way. When I see
other moms walking down, I'm always like, you're doing great.
Exactly.
Doing great.
Exactly. I don't know. Somewhere, like I said, along the way, we trying our best turned into, we can never get it wrong. And I just think, sometimes you have to get it wrong to get it right the next time. So you learn from your mistakes, right?
Absolutely.
So is there anything you can think of that you have basically done wrong the first time, or not to your satisfaction, that you've learned from, that you can share with our listeners as to not beating yourself up and maybe taking something and turning it into a positive?
Okay, the list goes on and on and on. It's endless.
And we're laughing about it. So how good is that?
Right. Yes, right. What I will say is that experience with potty training my oldest son was so difficult. And that was one of the points in motherhood. That, and like getting my kids to sleep, where I felt like I just can't do anything right. What is wrong with me? So fast forward, I potty trained my middle, and then I potty trained my third son. And by the third, I was like, okay, I've kind of got this thing figured out. I know what I did wrong the first time. Things are going well. Well, I had a lot of friends start reaching out to me when I was potty training my third, going, how are you going to do it? Like, I have my first, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. And trust me, like, I had been through the worst of the worst with potty training. So I knew, like, if this is happening, this is what you do. If this is happening, this is what worked best for me. So because so many people started asking me about it, I decided to become a potty training consultant. So that's kind of like my other side gig, is that I work with parents on potty training. So I do one-on-one consultations where I kind of walk them through the whole process. If they're struggling with, my kid keeps pooping their pants, what's wrong? I like give them all the steps to get out of it. So I look back at that experience with my son and I think I had to go through that so that I could help other parents.
And
later
you know what?
on.
And what a great example to them as well. I always have a do as I do kind of attitude and mantra, and that you turned something that was a challenge for you into something really positive, and not only, helping you in a business sense, but helping other people, which that's really, that's a great example to set. Absolutely. So,
and I think what they love is they're like, you're not some, parenting expert trying to tell me exactly how to do it. I'm like, let me tell you how I felt in that moment. Let me tell you how I felt like I was losing my mind. I know how that feels and I know how to get out of it. So it's not like I'm there judging them or, because you get advice from everywhere and it's hard to hear from your in-laws, from your parents, from your friends who it's perfectly easy for them. So I think because I've been in their shoes, it makes it a little bit easier to take my advice.
Absolutely. I think personally, I was born at least a decade too early, actually, because I see with my daughters-in-law and my grandchildren, we now have potty consultants. We have sleep consultants. Where were you all when I was raising my boys?
Right.
I was just flying by the seat of my pants.
That's a question I have for you. So like, I'm able to do this, I think, because of social media and the amount of information you can find.
Right.
Back when my mom was raising me, there was maybe a parenting book that she'd have to read. Like, how did you guys find help? Or was it just do it all on your own?
You know what? You really trusted your friends and you shared in community and parenting groups and things like that. And there were books that but as there's really not one size fits all kind of answers to kids. They're all different. Right. I mean, boys, girls, and even amongst the boys, they're all different. So it's hard to really just go by a method or a book, which is why it's so wonderful that you're doing what you're doing, because it's an individual consultation. So you can deal with people one-on-one as to, what they need for each child. No, we listened. I listened to my mom quite a bit, and things change over the years, I must say, we all raised our kids and they pretty much turned out just fine.
Turned out okay.
So I don't think they suffered. I think it could have been a lot easier on us as moms and as parents if we had what you have now. So,
right.
Technology has its goods and bads, but social media in this case. However, talk about social media. So let's talk about that a little. It does have its positives. However, I know for me, as a mom, as a grandma, sometimes you read things on social media. You see what people what your friends have posted. Everybody's world looks perfect. Everybody's kids are dressed beautifully. They look clean and terrific and smiley, and the family is just happy. And we know that's not always true. So do you think that helps perpetuate that I need to be perfect kind of feeling?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it amplifies the need to be perfect. And I do feel like people are getting better now at like, okay, I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to, be filter free. But when I became a mom, I remember searching all these Facebook groups. And that was probably the worst thing I should have done. I should have just like put my phone away. But you read about like what other people are doing, and there's just a bombardment of information. And then when you feel like, oh, my baby's sleeping this long, you're like, my baby's not. What's wrong with me? Instead of just going, like, I look back and I think all of my babies were just normal sleepers, but I just had this expectation from what I saw everyone else doing that it was supposed to be better. So yeah, I definitely think, I'm guilty of it. I don't post the worst of the worst all the time. I'm like, let's fix my hair before I take that picture,
Exactly.
So I definitely think
and now
it
we have
amplifies it.
AI. And we have AI to just correct anything that we don't like.
Yeah.
And in a blink of an instant, the hair can be fixed. Anything.
Yep. Or I always
you and I are au naturel right now, though. So, but yeah, it's you never know what's real and what's not. And I think maybe what we have to do is assume it's not. Assume that things are not always perfect, because you know what? Chances are, if you're going through it, somebody else is too. Most people are, and we can't beat ourselves up. We really can't. Is there anything in particular that you do for self-care, for taking care of yourself in a house of 3 boys, when you need that time for you?
Oh gosh. The first thing that came to mind was I asked for some headphones for Christmas, and they are the kind that have noise canceling. I know that's like the weirdest self-care, but in a house of 3 boys, I never realized how loud it was going to get and how much that noise was just going to like irritate me to my core. Like I've started telling my boys, like, your screaming is giving me anxiety. So take it outside, but they can't. They just don't know how to be quiet. Everything they play is loud. It's rough. It's jumping on the couch. So the noise canceling headphones, I thought at first like, oh, I'm not going to use these. The other day I had them on and I was folding laundry and I'm like, okay, it definitely, they work really
Well, I think
well.
that was the perfect gift to ask for. I distinctly remember we didn't even have
Yes.
noise canceling headphones when my kids were little, at least that I knew of.
Oh,
And I would lock myself in my car sometimes, just
uh-huh.
in the garage in the car, just for 10 minutes of peace and quiet because
Yes.
it was always so
I just
loud
need
and
quiet.
right,
I've seen
exactly.
so many reels of like girl moms versus boy moms, where the girl moms are like, they hear a loud noise. They're like, oh, is everything okay? And the boy mom's like, it's fine. And then it's silent. And the boy moms are like, oh no, it's quiet. But it's like that. Like they're just loud all the time. Like
It's
all the
very
time.
interesting. I'm going to tell you to tune into another episode of The Movement. I had just interviewed Dr. Joshua Coleman, and he's a clinical PhD psychologist, and he wrote an article for The Atlantic called "Raising." Raising boys, about raising boys, and he talked about the biology of boys versus girls and
Fascinating.
how much boys are loud and rambunctious and they need that
Mhm.
is that escape. They need that. They need what when I have been reading about and called green time versus screen time. So they need that
Yes. Oh,
running
that's
outside.
fascinating.
Yeah. And
And I
it's
think it's worse because at school they are kind of not allowed to be that.
right.
And so when they get home, it's like even more like I have to just unleash.
Right. There
Yep.
is also a mushy, loving side of having boys. And
Yes.
you are clearly a MOOB, a mother of only boys, which makes you the queen of your home and the only role model, I guess, mother role model for your boys, which is a wonderful thing.
Yes.
What is it that you're looking to teach them or model for them that you feel is important being a mother of only boys?
Well, I specifically remember when I found out my first was a boy when I was pregnant, I had this overwhelming sense of like, I need to raise him to go off into this world and be a good man. It just like kind of came over me. I'm like, I'm having a boy. He needs to be a good man. If I could teach my boys to be kind to others, be respectful. I mean, this is a constant battle we're dealing with right now. Like, hey, that language is not appropriate around me. I'm a lady. Like, don't speak to me like that. Um, so I think just be kind humans. That's one of
Yeah,
the
that's
biggest
a
things.
that's
I
a
mean, everyone wants their kids to be successful and, have good careers. But if I know that they are good people and they treat others well, I will feel like I did a good job.
absolutely. So I think the takeaway here to moms out there who are listening, you don't have to be perfect. As a matter of fact, nobody is perfect.
Hmm.
And I know you had a quote here. I'm trying to find it as to I'm flipping my motherhood mistakes into successes. So you know
Yeah.
what? I have this glass here that I always keep, and it says always have full. And I always refer back to it because I think you can look at any situation and you can beat yourself up or you can see it like you do as an opportunity, as something that you can turn into a success. And you know what? Maybe you burn that pancake for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And it's a good
I
thing
mean, it,
after
it
all.
is fun to bring humor to your mistakes too. Like the other day, my boys, they got in trouble for ding dong ditching on our street. And what annoyed me the most is 5 minutes before I had seen them attempting to do it across the street. And I said, get over here. You're trying to do this on our street. Every neighbor on our street knows who you are, and they probably all have cameras. They're going to come to my door and complain about what you're doing. So don't do this anymore. What did they do? They kept doing it.
Of course.
Neighbor knocked on my door, and I said, get over here. You're going to talk to this lady. And at the time, I was so, so mad. But now looking back, I'm like, it was a great learning lesson for them. Like, mom was right, right? I wanted them to say, you were right, mom.
So the
We
next
did get
time
in
they'll listen
trouble.
to you, right? I don't think so.
I don't think so. But like
Well,
it is fun, like to go back and tell that story. Like, 10 years from now, we're gonna be like, remember that time you were ding dong ditching on our street right across from where we live? It's funny.
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
it's a way of just saying like we learn from our mistakes. And we can laugh about them. Just
We
keep
can
flipping.
laugh. We have to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Humor is the best medicine, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. That's the way it is. So, well, I'm going to remind everybody to listen to your podcast. Your guests have been terrific. I've learned a lot from many of them, and I love listening to you. I can tell you, as a mom whose boys are a little older, that when the girls come into the picture, when they get married, they get serious, yeah, you go through some stuff. And there's a lot about letting go, which tune into the movement going forward. You'll hear a lot about that.
That's a great topic.
It is. We talk about that a lot here. But the girls really do harness and rein in on the boys. My boys call me more. They, a lot of things like that because the girls are in their lives. And what's really, really wonderful, you think sometimes when they're young that you're not getting through. But then you see them with their wives, and then you see them with their own children. And I did a good job because somewhere deep in there, you instilled that in them. They know, they heard you. They might not have done what you asked them to do, but it's in there and they heard you. And one day it's going to come out and they're going to treat their wives and their kids in a way. And you're going to have that feeling that I have, which is, I did that. I created that kind, wonderful human being, and it makes motherhood all the more, wonderful experience. It really does. So.
Oh my God, I just got goosebumps. I love that.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
It is. It really is. So I am really glad you're a MOOB, because the only other thing I do want to add is that it is wonderful to have community. And I did create this podcast because there are so many mothers of only boys, and we are our own identity, our own groups, and sometimes people say things and they don't realize it, and it kind of pangs a little bit, and it's really nice to have other mothers at different stages of motherhood to share that with. So thank you for sharing with us today and joining us. I'm going to ask you to stick around for just a minute or two, because we have 2 segments here that are signature segments on the movement, and I'm going to ask you to join us for them. And the first one is called MOOB Mail.
Oh boy, it's that time. Ooh, mail's here. Your voice meets mine. From your heart straight to our trail. Let's open up that mail.
And we ask our listeners to write in. We have a website, and we ask them to write in and give us any kind of either questions or comments about the show that we can address. The MOOB mail that I chose today was from a woman named Allie, and she wrote, "I used to judge parents who served fried chicken nuggets. I no longer judge. Can you talk about how to encourage healthy eating without turning every meal into a battle?" Want to take that one, Katie?
Oh my gosh. Well, the fact that I served dino nuggets probably 3 days in a row last week, I think it's totally fine. Feeding kids is a challenge, and that is something like I didn't think it would be a struggle, but you can probably relate. 2 that like barely eat anything because they're still little, and then 1 that's like about to hit that preteen growth spurt and he eats a ton. And so getting the little ones to eat, I've just learned, like, if they're hungry, they're going to eat. And if they're not, they'll ask for food later. I'll just save their plate. But I'm not like forcing them to eat something. And as long as there is something healthy on their plate, I feel okay.
So are they
And
picky
are
eaters?
fed.
Do you feel that, they're just going for the nuggets and that's it?
Yeah, a little bit picky. Maybe because I'm not always giving them variety, but we also have baseball and football and this. There's so much going on in the evenings that having like a normal family dinner doesn't happen
Right.
super regularly. Like, we're so busy. So a little bit on the picky side, but what I've learned from my oldest to my youngest is that phase doesn't last forever. Like, my oldest now was like, he ordered salmon the other day at a restaurant. We were like, well, he said, "I would like the bourbon salmon." And we're like, what? We're like, oh, bourbon salmon. But he just like out of nowhere in the adult menu. And I'm like, okay. So he was the one that would barely touch a chicken nugget. Like, barely eat a little bit of this and maybe pick off the bread of the chicken nugget and is now eating fine. So I think there's like a picky phase, and if you can get through that, you're
you can't
paying for
figure
the
kids out.
salmon at dinner.
You just can't. My son, my oldest, when he was younger, he went through a stage where he wanted only white pizza. And if you took him to a pizza place, he would scrape off the red sauce. Like, where do you get that from? He now goes out and orders, everything off the menu, and he's a great eater, and he's healthy and wonderful. So,
I mean, the advice I heard was just keep offering it and they'll eventually eat it. And I don't overwhelm it. I'm like, here is 1 carrot. Like, please taste it.
Absolutely.
Just taste the carrot. I'm not going to put 5 on your plate and expect you to eat 5. Just taste 1 and I'm fine with that.
Right. And then they grow up. And then you have other issues, like they all want to go out for steakhouse dinners, and it costs you an arm and a leg.
I know. So that's my oldest said for his birthday. He's like, I want to do that all-you-can-eat barbecue thing, like Korean barbecue. And I'm like, oh, we're getting to that age now. I'm like, let's enjoy this kiddie meal time with the other two.
Enjoy it all. Enjoy every stage. Okay. So I'm going to tell you that our next segment that we do, the last one, is called the Confession Corner, where we ask moms to confess something that they might not say out loud. So let's move on, or MOOB on, to our Confession Corner.
Lean in close, have no fear. It's the Confession Corner, no judgment here.
Today's confession is from somebody named Christina. And Christina wrote in, I swore my kids wouldn't be raised by screens. And then I discovered how long Paw Patrol marathons could be. So, how do you navigate screen time? This generation, I raised my kids on Sesame Street and all of that, and we were happy to have it. It was educational. I know there are a lot of things, even my 5-year-old grandson now watch, that are maybe more entertainment than educational. There's a lot more things to choose from now. So how do you navigate, or do you navigate screen time, and how do you work on that?
It's a constant battle. It is such a battle. I think what's hard for us as parents now is they can pick any show at any time, and it just runs like back to back to back. Whereas when we were kids, my husband and I were just telling our kids about this. We're like, we would have to wait till Friday night, till TGIF, to watch one episode of the show that we liked. And then we had to wait till the next week. And the kids are like, you guys are old. Were you born in the 1900s? We're like, yeah, we were born in
Everything is now immediate. You binge watch everything, and it can just keep going on replay. But do you regulate screen time?
And I'm like, you don't. Well, we do try and limit. They probably watch way more than I ever thought they would. We try and limit it to after dinner. So when they get home from school, the minute they come home, they go, can we watch TV? Can we play this? No, after dinner, just so that it gives them some sort of time limit. What I think we've gotten very loose on is Saturdays and Sundays when we don't have sports. We get to sleep in because our boys now know how to turn the TV on. And there are some days where you're like, oh man, they've been watching a couple hours of TV. But it's also like, but we got to sit and drink our coffee in peace. So there's a balance. Like, they're active kids. They are going to school and growing, and they're healthy. Would I like them to watch less TV? Yes, but we're also living in this age where it's like, it's there, it's.
Once again, we don't have to be the ideal, perfect parents. We should not beat ourselves up, and they're going to be just fine watching TV. I like to try when I'm with my grandkids, I like to try to just watch with them so that I don't plant them there and whatever, and try to talk about what I'm watching and so forth. But it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes it's just fine to, use the TV, like you said, happy parents, happy children, and sometimes you need that time, and that's quite all right.
My husband and I got half an hour to drink our coffee together, and that was lovely.
That's important too. Well, thank you, Katie, for joining us today. We are so happy to have you, and I'm going to remind everybody yet again to listen in to Burnt Pancakes, and hopefully you will come back and visit us again sometime soon.
Yes, thank you so much. This was so fun.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great day.
Hey!